Good day, leaders. This is Inspirational Monday, and today's video is called Worth versus Value. So let's take some time and walk through this. I want you to think about worth versus value. Value says it is money in exchange for goods or services. That's the value of something. Worth says it is based upon the measured qualities and the esteem which is applied to something. Completely different. Value, money in exchange for goods and services. So a price placed on something for goods and services. Worth is completely different from value. Worth says you can't put a price on my worth because it is greater in quality and it is even esteemed higher than what one can think or imagine. Listen, leaders, don't just let people put a value on you. Know your worth and understand your worth far exceeds anything that anybody can put a price tag on. It's interesting that if you were to apply for a position, the position gives you a title, and that position also gives you the salary bracket. Let's say an employer is going to give you $85,000 a year to perform a certain job, function, and duty in a position. That's the value that they ascribe to that position and to that title, $85,000. But what they miss is your worth. They miss your intellect. They miss your skill. They miss your talent. They miss your wit and your humor. They miss your character and your appreciation for the value of people in life. They miss all of those intrinsic qualities that you bring to the table that speak to your worth. You may be paid $85,000 for 2-3 years in a row, but the worth that you bring to the company far exceeds that. Every day, you are increasing the company's value because your worth is in action. Leaders, know your worth and understand it's different from value. Don't let people put a price tag on you. Friends, family, loved ones, employers, you have to be the one to stand up for what you are worth because your worth far exceeds the value of any financial compensation they could ascribe to you. Now listen. Many of you may not know the name Charles M. Schultz, but the majority of you definitely know about Charlie Brown and the Peanuts Gang. Charles M. Schultz created Charlie Brown and the Peanut Gang in 1950, 68 years ago. As of this October, it'll be 68 years that the Peanuts Gang has been in existence. There's so many different characters in the Peanuts Gang. Some of them you know, some of them you really don't know. You have major and minor players. But this one person you will know. So there's a character by the name of Linus. Linus has an insecurity. His insecurity is loneliness. So to compensate for his insecurity of loneliness, he carries with him a security blanket. Now Linus, he's the younger brother to Lucy. Lucy is known as the bully of the bunch. Even back in 1950, we were showing children how to be bullies, even through cartoons. That's a whole nother discussion. We'll leave Lucy alone for now. Let's get back to Linus. Linus has an insecurity. And in order to compensate for his insecurity, he carries a security blanket with him everywhere he goes. Periodically, you might even see Linus holding the security blanket to his ear while he's also sucking his thumb. That speaks of immaturity, that speaks of adolescence and all the above. Leaders, how many times have we seen managers, supervisors, bosses act like Linus? How often do we see insecurity rise to the top and yet they can't function effectively, they can't lead us effectively because their insecurity is bringing them down? Watch this. Linus's blanket has no value. There's no financial compensation we can ascribe to Linus's blanket or use it as for any goods and services. There's no financial piece that's valuable to the blanket. And yet, the worth, the quality of what that blanket means to Linus, how Linus esteems himself because of the blanket. Leaders, here's where I'm going. When you know your worth, you will not allow your insecurity to come to the top and try and become a security. You can't allow the insecurity of Linus to be compensated by a security blanket, which exposes the fact that he's insecure anyways. Did you ever think about that? If Linus says, I'm secure, and yet he has his blanket speaks to the fact that he's insecure. Regardless of what he says, the truth of the matter is his insecurity comes to the top. Leaders, here's my point. When you know your worth, you won't allow people to just place any kind of value on you. No price tag on who you are. Linus is interesting because his insecurity, if he didn't have the blanket, most of us wouldn't know that he was insecure or afraid of being alone. But because his insecurity rises to the top and exposes him by way of the security blanket, Linus is always labeled. Leaders, don't allow people to label you with a value or put a price tag on what you bring to the table. Allow them to see your worth. So no more insecurity. Put your blanket down. Get your thumb out of your mouth. Start walking in your worth so that your worth now becomes your value. And nobody can put a price tag on what you're worth. Leaders, know the difference between worth and value and understand that I appreciate you because you matter. Have a great day.